down 3 and 6 under my x's. For 3, what type of a dot is it going to have? Solid. Good. Fran, I looked at you funny because I thought you said some. And I was like, process. Solid. Okay. 6, what type of point? Open. Good. And then when you plug in these, which some of you chose to solve for y first, fine. Some of you plug these in right away and solve for y that way. What do we get when we plug in 3? -7. And 6?
-9.
Thank you very much. Cool. If you had troubles with the solving piece, again, I'm going to urge you to come into office hours. Just time-wise, we don't have time to go through all that. And then plotting your points. 3, 7, solid. 6, -9, open, bam. Something like that. Did anybody, for any reason, get anything different? Pilar, what's up?
Well, I just didn't know what was negative because I didn't think myself for the equal
Okay. Can you tell me what you got when you solved for y equals?
I got 2/3 x -1.
Okay. This 2/3 should have been negative. That's what happened. Because when I solved for y, I should have subtracted the 2x over to the other side. You see? Okay. So yeah, that's fine.
I got -2/3 x -5, but I still messed up. 'Cause
My guess is it's probably just a small error in your math. If you solved here and then did you plug 3 in for x?
that's- I just like I guess didn't learn this right because I just plotted it that and then I assumed that I didn't like look for the y's, so I plotted it and it was like, so for me it was 3 -3 instead of 3 -7
Okay.
because
Think-
I went from
Did you start at -5?
-5 and then
Down 2 to the right 3?
yeah, but I did it. No, I did it wrong.
Did that help?
I did it. Yes.
Okay. That's all right. All right. So good. Clearing up some issues. Again, I don't care if you did the -2/3 x -5 and then solved for it, or even if you graphed that and then erased. Right? We talked about that option as well, as graphing starting at -5, going down 2 over to the right 3, and then just finding the section that you needed and erasing and adding your points. That doesn't matter either. Okay? All right, so moving on so that we have enough time to go over this today. We are going to write the equation of a line, and today is the 19th. Did you ever get one? No, I didn't. I'll look at too far now. All right. So writing the equation of a line, you can do it in a couple different formats. You can do your traditional y = mx + b. You can, which is slope-intercept form. You can do that, the one that I showed you, ax + by = c, which is their standard form. And then you could use this one, which is called point slope form. So when you're writing an equation, you have 3 3 options of the way that you could write your equation. Slope-intercept form, I think, is probably the easiest. It's the one that everybody recognizes and has seen before. Would you all agree with me on that one? Yeah? Standard form we're going to actually deal with later on. And point-slope form is one that you may have learned in the past and you may really like it. I hate it, so we're not going to do that one. All right, and we're going to focus on slope-intercept form because I think it's the easiest one to deal with. Then you can use your graphing calculator to check your answers. So it's all good using y equals mx plus b. So the first thing is if we have, if we're being given the slope and a point. So we have like 2 situations that are going to happen today. And the first one is this one. So for my example, I'm going to tell you that the slope is 3 and that you have a point at -4, 7. Everybody say hi, Andy.
Andy.
She's all trying to sneak in. All right. So in this case, what does the slope represent in my equation? Where is that in my equation? Go ahead, Emmett.
Isn't that the MX?
That's the
Or the M?
It's the M. Good. I'm actually really glad you said the MX. The X is its own little entity being multiplied by the M, which is my slope. So thank you for that, Emmett. So this is just the M. And my point, can anybody guess what my point might represent in that situation? Addie?
The Y and the X.
Yeah, the X and the Y. Good. So this is my X and that's my Y. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to plug in what I know. And solve for B. So if I'm using y equals mx plus b, I know what y is. It's 7. So I'm going to say 7 equals, I know my m is 3. My x is -4, so I'm going to do parentheses. And then I don't know b. So if I'm trying to solve this, that's my setup. That's the first thing I'm going to do is just plug in the stuff that I know. Keeping it really, really simple. I'm not going to skip steps. I just want to show what's happening. Okay? Then you're going to use your calculators to do your parentheses. You can just type that straight in. And so then I should have 7 equals, what's 3 times -4?
-12.
-12. Also, remember what we said? We want you to use the calculators. They will help you double check signs, which are like the easiest thing to miss and to make mistakes with in your class, okay? With any math class, actually. And then how do I get b by itself?
Add the 12 to both sides.
Perfect, thank you. So I'm going to end up with b equals, and 7 plus 12 is 19. So my equation, now I'm going to actually do the answer. So I have plugged everything in, I've solved for b, and now I'm going to go back to y equals mx plus b format, and I'm going to use the m, and I'm going to use the b, and the y and x are going to go back to variables. So I have y equals, my m is 3, the x is going to go back to being an x, and I'm going to substitute in my 19. So that is my equation. All right, so reiterating steps again. Label what you're being given. The labeling I know seems childish. It helps, okay? Label what you know. Then plug in everything that you do know. Solve for B. Once you get B, don't forget to write the equation by putting the y and x back in, and then substituting in your m and your b for the numbers that you are given or found. All right, what questions do you have for me? Is there anything that I can clarify? Yeah.
Are we learning just how to write it in slope-intercept form or something?
We're just learning how to write our equation in slope-intercept form. Great question. And then once I have this, then I can use my graphing calculator to check it. Right? So I'm going to plug this into y equals. And in this case, I only have one point I can check. But I can check this point, and then if I really want to find a second point, I can go from here and I can count my slope. Right? So I could check very easily 2 points and making sure that that is the correct equation. Anything else before we move on? Do something else? Because I need more time for the second type. We okay? All right, cool. Second type is when you are just given 2 points. So just given 2 points. So it'll say something like, your direction will say, write the equation given that. Bless you.
I can't live like this.
Yeah. All right. So in this case, what's different from this other problem over here? Yeah, I don't have the slope. No, you're okay. Thank you. I don't know the slope. So does anybody remember from years past how to find the slope? Ella.
There's an equation which is y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1.
Yeah. Rock on. Good for you. So in this equation, it's really important that you label your points so that you can use this equation appropriately. So I'm going to go through my first point given this negative 6, 9. I'm going to label as x1, y1. It's a terrible x. And then this second point at 5, negative 3, we're going to label as x2, y2. Now, when I am plugging these into this magic formula that Ella so nicely gave us, I'm going to be really careful with signs and making sure I drag everything that I need. So, first thing, I'm going to plug in y2, which is negative 3. And then I'm automatically going to put down a minus sign because that's what the formula says. And then y1 is 9. Over, and then x2 is 5. Automatically going to put down a minus sign because that's what the formula says. And then I'm going to have a negative 6. That bottom part is where things get screwed up. Because if you forget to put down the negative, then your signs are all off. All right, so your calculators are a beautiful thing, but you don't want to put in the whole thing. So in your graphing calculators, just to help yourselves out, just do the top, get an answer for that, then do the bottom, get an answer for that, and then you're going to divide them and reduce your fraction. Okay, so let's practice with those calculators. And again, if you still don't have one, tomorrow morning office hours, please. Because by Thursday, you'll want them for the quiz for sure. So -3 minus 9 gives me? Negative what?
12.
12, thank you. And then 5 minus a -6
11.
is 11. Good. And then, does this reduce? Does anybody remember how to do the reducing in the calculator? Okay, let's talk about it one more time. In your graphing calculator, you're going to do -12 divided by 11. Press enter. Then it's going to give you a decimal, probably a really long decimal. In order to put that back into fraction form, you hit the math button and press enter twice. And it'll give you a reduced fraction if it reduces. In this case, did it?
No.
No, in this case, this is my slope. So this is my m that I'm going to plug in. Your slopes are not always going to be super nice and friendly like the last example. Most of the time, they're going to be something gnarly. Okay, but your graphing calculators will help you navigate the gnarly numbers. So now I have an m, and I have 2 points. And really, I'm going to go back to solving example 1. I just am going to pick one of the 2 points. It doesn't matter which one you pick. Okay, so let's do it this way actually. Let's have, I can't really split you down evenly, but, so Emmett, your group back there, and this group, you're going to use the first point. Okay, and then you're just doing it exactly like example 1. So we can check to see if how you're doing with that. So you all are doing the first point of -6, 9. The other side of the room, you're doing the second point of 5, -3. And if we do this correctly, everybody should come up with the same answer. All right, so give it a shot. You have an M. I just assigned you a point. Right? Some of you have this first point, some of you have the second point. And then you're just going to solve it just like we did with example 1. Okay, give it a shot. Go. Help each other. Yes.
No.
We just change up the number from X, so then I understand it.
Great. That did both of these points check. Okay, so Cairo, can you tell me what that answer was that you all checked?
Y equals -12 divided by 11x plus 27 divided by 11.
All right, and it checked out with the 2 points? Yeah.
I tried to graph it, and that didn't work out, but I think Addie's checking.
Uh-oh. Addie, you're checking right now? Okay, for both points? All right. Jessica, can I have the homework? All right, so there are 7 problems, 2 that are like example 1, so short, a little bit short.